Doesn't it feel like every time you open your phone, we are this close to total financial collapse? One tweet, one news alert, one TikTok, and suddenly it's recession incoming, sell everything and move to a bunker. But here's the weird part. We're not actually in a recession right now. In fact, by most official measures, the economy's still growing, unemployment's low, and people are still spending like it's hot. So why does it feel so bad? When I was a kid, recessions were rare and big and obvious, but now it feels like there's a new one every week, at least on the internet. In this video, I'm going to break down what a recession really is, why we're constantly being told it's right around the corner, and most importantly, how to protect yourself whether or not the economy tanks. And to make it easier, I put together a free recession-proof starter kit. It'll walk you through how to check your portfolio, build your emergency fund, and actually feel confident no matter what happens next. The link's in the description. So let's dive in. So what even is a recession? Let's start with the basics because everyone loves to yell recession, but most people can't actually even define it. A recession is typically when the economy shrinks for 2 quarters in a row. That means 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. But most economists also look at other stuff, things like unemployment, consumer spending, industrial production, and income levels. In the US, it's officially declared by the National Bureau of Economic Research, and they're usually pretty conservative about announcing it. So by the time they call it a recession, it's usually already been happening. The last official US recession was in the spring of 2020 during COVID. It lasted 2 months. Before that, the one everyone remembers is 2008. But right now, we're not in a recession. GDP, gross domestic product, is growing. Unemployment is low, around 4%, and consumer spending is still strong. So if the data's fine, why does it feel like we're always 2 seconds away from an economic meltdown? Number one is the 2008 trauma loop. 2008 was a big deal. The housing market collapsed, major banks failed, millions lost their jobs, and it left a scar. Ever since then, any economic hiccup gets framed like it could be the next 2008. So people under 40, especially millennials and Gen Z, have basically only seen unstable economies in adulthood. So of course, everything feels pretty risky. We haven't had a normal 10-year growth stretch like previous generations experienced. Number two is the 24/7 doom cycle. Finance isn't boring anymore. There's a full-time content machine pushing fear-based takes about the economy. We've got financial news, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and all of it is built to grab attention. And recession incoming gets way more clicks than, hey, the economy is actually fine right now. So even when inflation cooled down and the Fed paused rate hikes, people were still saying, watch out, it's coming, because fear keeps eyeballs glued. Number three is the signals are mixed and weird. Normally, recession signals are clear. There's spikes in unemployment, consumer spending drops, and companies cut back hard. But in 2024 and in 2025, we do have some layoffs, especially in tech, but overall, unemployment is still low. People are still spending more than ever, even if they're using credit cards to do it, and the stock market is surprisingly strong. So you get this confusing mix of the vibes are bad, but the data is okay, and that uncertainty makes it feel dangerous even when it's not. Number four is COVID broke the model. Historically, recessions followed a pattern. A bubble pops, the Fed tightens, and the economy contracts. Things you don't really need to understand. But in 2020, COVID hits. We slammed the brakes on purpose. There was a global shutdown. Then we flooded the financial system with trillions of dollars in stimulus, 0% interest rates, business loans, and emergency programs. And then we reopened and demand surged, but the supply chain was still all messed up. That caused inflation, which caused interest rate hikes. So now we're living in the aftershocks, and it makes everything feel unstable, even if the growth numbers are technically positive. Despite a bunch of non-tangible things impacting how our financial landscape is, here's how financial cycles actually work. So the economy moves in cycles, and they're normal, and they go like this. First, we have expansion. There's growth, people get more jobs, and the market's really happy. Then it peaks. Growth slows down, and inflation rises. We then have a contraction, which could be seen as a recession, layoffs, consumers spending less. We have a trough, where it bottoms out right before expansion starts all over again. And these cycles happen every 5 to 10 years, historically. And sometimes they're short, like the 2020 recession, which was 2 months long, and sometimes they're long, like post-2008 recovery, which was almost a decade. The point is, recessions are normal. They're not always 10 years long, like 2008, but they are part of the pattern. So what do you do about it? You don't need to obsess or even know what the Fed is or GDP reports are, or look at them every single week. But you can build a financial system that holds up in any part of the cycle. Here's what I think everybody should aim for. First, you could just download the Recession-Proof Starter Kit from the description. That includes learning how the system works, understanding interest rates, inflation, debt, and economic cycles. If you know what they actually mean, you won't be manipulated by fear-mongering headlines. Next is building a balanced investment portfolio. You don't need to be a stock-picking genius, just diversify. Stocks, bonds, some index funds, and adjust based on your age and risk tolerance. Third is have an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. This protects you from being being in a recession, even if the economy isn't protected. Number 4 is to keep your income flexible. Recession-proof people usually have options. This could be freelance work, a side hustle, up-to-date skills, or even just a strong network. Number 5 is to stay consistent and not reactive. Don't try and time the market. Don't panic sell. Good financial habits beat perfect predictions every single time. So the economy does feel chaotic, but no, we're not in a recession right now, and no, you don't need to live in fear of one. All you need is a plan, and I made you one. Download the free Recession-Proof Starter Kit. It's linked below. It'll help you understand the cycles, assess your portfolio, and get your emergency fund and income plans in place. Because recessions are inevitable, but panic is entirely optional.